Today, we're talking about something every man feels, but almost no man says out loud. Not to his partner, not to his friends, sometimes not even to himself. And no, it's not status, money, or sex. Those matter, sure, but they are surface level. There is one deeper craving that drives almost everything men do. And once you understand it, you'll see men differently. You'll understand why they act the way they act. You'll understand what pushes them, what shuts them down, and what unlocks the best version of them. And it's not theory. It shows up in real research, in long-term relationship data, and in behavioral psychology. So let's dive in. The hidden drive men rarely name. Here's the problem. Most men walk around with a silent need, a need that's so important to their emotional stability that when they don't get it, they withdraw, get irritated, or feel lost. But because men are raised to handle it or to be strong or to figure things out alone, they don't talk about what's going on. So what is this hidden craving? A man wants to feel significant, not just appreciated, not just respected, but significant, as in I matter. What I do matters. Who I am matters to someone. This need for significance is one of the strongest recurring themes found in male behavior studies. But here's where the problem begins. Most men don't know how to ask for significance. They fear that admitting they want it will make them look weak, needy, or insecure. So instead of asking for it, they look for it in other ways. Extra work hours, social validation, competitive hobbies, risk-taking, quiet withdrawal when they feel unimportant, or even anger when they feel invisible. And none of these behaviors fix the core problem. Because the issue isn't that men want power or praise. The issue is that they want their presence to matter. A long-term study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology tracked more than 600 couples over 10 years. One of the strongest predictors of a man's emotional well-being wasn't conflict levels, or income, or sex frequency. It was whether he felt valued by his partner. Men who reported feeling significant in their relationship were 82% less likely to withdraw emotionally, 67% less likely to escalate conflicts, 54% more likely to show affection, and 3x more likely to describe their relationship as secure. But here's where it gets interesting. When women in the study were asked what made them feel most connected, their answers centered on communication and emotional expression. When men were asked the same question, their number one answer was feeling like what I do is appreciated. Not praised, not worshipped, just appreciated. That's significance. But men rarely come out and say that outright. Instead, they hide it. Why men hide the need for significance? From boyhood, men hear phrases like, man up, stop complaining, handle it, don't depend on anyone, be strong. So what do they learn? They learn that needing validation or even expressing emotional hunger makes them less of a man. So what do instead? They bury the need. And this creates a silent pressure that builds over years. This pressure shows up as short tempers, passive distance, overworking, feeling unappreciated, difficulty trusting, or emotional shutdown. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. And they feel like they're not allowed to say it. Let's take a closer look and magnify the pain this unspoken craving creates. In 2014, a relationship health program analyzed 223 couples who voluntarily sought support for emotional. One pattern emerged across more than 70% of the men. Men didn't feel significant at home. The more they lost that feeling, the more their behavior. Here's what the data showed. Quiet withdrawal. In the first 3-6 months of feeling unseen or unimportant, men reduced small emotional actions, fewer "how was your day" check-ins, less shared excitement, less physical warmth, not because they stopped loving their partner, but because they felt unvalued. Emotional distance. Around the 6-12 month mark, Partners describe them as harder to reach, more distracted, more irritable, less affectionate. Men in this phase often said things like, "It feels like nothing I do makes. I only hear when I've done something wrong." By the 18-24-month mark, men describe themselves as numb, checked out, invisible. Most importantly, 87% of these men said the root issue was not that they weren't loved, it was that they didn't feel significant. This distinction is huge. A man can know intellectually that he's loved and still feel emotionally unimportant. And when a man feels unimportant long enough, he doesn't explode, he disconnects. Why this happens even in good relationships. This isn't about blame. Plenty of great women accidentally overlook a man's need for significance because he doesn't express it clearly. His signals are subtle. He hides his emotional hunger. She assumes he's fine because he says he is. And then they've learned to disguise this need with behaviors that confuse their partners. He becomes quieter. She thinks he's uninterested. He works more. She thinks he's avoiding her. He stops initiating. She thinks he's falling out of love. But internally, the real narrative is, I don't feel important, and I don't know how to fix it. The identity problem. When men don't feel significant, it hits deeper than emotion. It impacts identity. Men are taught to define themselves by contribution, what they provide, what they protect, what they achieve, what they build, what they solve. So anything that signals you don't matter doesn't just hurt feelings, it shakes identity. This is why men sometimes react strongly to things that seem small. A dismissive tone, a lack of acknowledgement, criticism without appreciation, feeling replaced, being talked down to, efforts going unnoticed. These moments don't just irritate them, they threaten their sense of significance. And men rarely say, I feel unimportant. Instead, they say, whatever, or it's fine, or do what you want. But inside, they're hurting. Now we move into the solution. What actually satisfies a man's craving for significance? It's simpler than most people think, but it has to be done in the right way or it backfires. Understand the core need. A man feels significant when he sees that his presence matters, his effort is recognized, his strengths are seen, his contribution has impact. This aligns with findings from the University of Rochester's self-determination theory research, which shows that felt significance is a top predictor of motivation and bonding in men. In short, men don't want praise. They want purpose. Men don't want ego boosts. They want impact, connection through contribution. Here's the part most people misunderstand. A man doesn't crave acknowledgement, he craves meaning. He doesn't need you to flatter him. He needs to feel that what he does actually changes something in your world. This is why many men love doing things for their partner, fixing something, helping solve a problem, being supportive, offering protection, giving advice, making plans. It's not about control. It's about contribution. Contribution creates significance. And when he feels significant, he shows up stronger. Communication that works for men. Here are 5 tested communication patterns from relationship psychology that consistently increase a man's sense of appreciation that's specific. Instead of, thanks for helping, try, I noticed you took care of that. It made my day easy. Men respond to clear markers of impact. Recognition of intent. Men put huge emotional weight on their intentions. You are trying to help, and I appreciate that lands deeply because it says, I see the reason behind what you do. Requests instead of demands. Men pair significance with autonomy. Can you help me with this? Works far better than you never help. Respectful tone. A study at UC Berkeley found that tone predicted divorce rates better than content in men. If a man hears disrespect, he shuts down. If he hears value, he opens up. Encouragement instead of criticism. Telling a man what he's doing right motivates him 10 times more than telling him what he's doing wrong. Not because he's fragile, but because encouragement affirms significance. Why this doesn't mean babying him. This isn't about ego stroking. It's about emotional reality. When women feel unappreciated, they feel disconnected. When men feel insignificant, they feel purposeless. Both are human needs, not gender weakness. Helping a man feel significant isn't treating him like a child. It's recognizing his emotional wiring. Every strong relationship does this. The win-win effect. When a man feels significant, he communicates more, he listens better, he becomes more affectionate, he becomes more consistent, he becomes protective in a healthy way, he takes more responsibility, he invests more in the relationship. Because significance fuels commitment, you're not manipulating him, you're activating the part of him that wants to give his best. The truth men won't say out loud. Men are not emotionless. Men are not confusing. Men are not detached. Most men are simply quiet about the deepest part of their emotional world. And that deep part is this. Every man craves the feeling that he is significant to someone he cares about, not because he's insecure, but because significance gives him identity, direction, and purpose. Understanding this doesn't weaken relationships, it strengthens them. Because when you understand a man's silent craving, you understand how to connect with him in a way that cuts through noise, pride, and emotional barriers. You understand what keeps him loyal, invested, and open. You understand the one thing he needs but rarely admits, I want to matter. And when a man feels that, you don't just get his attention, you get his devotion, you get his protection, you get his consistency, you get his heart.